Chinese, so no to 23. And if you think it's just a few disgruntled people here out for a good day out, well, think again. I've been here for a long time, so I know the heat has been stifling, punishing even, and that was at the best of times. And you know what's more, I've seen young and old people, able and disabled people, people from almost every imaginable sector, political activists, and just plain old ordinary citizens. What we're seeing is a cross-section of today's Hong Kong society as we know it. These are the people, this is their voice, they're speaking as one. From me here in Wan Chai and Hennessy Road, back to you in the studio.
It's James Chow reporting live in Wan Chai. And scores of organisations and groups were represented.
The government says today's march is not about the loss of rights and freedoms, but the result of a legal issue being turned into a political one. Cecil Wong reports.
Are all these people really afraid of losing their rights and freedoms under the national security laws? The man responsible for drafting the legislation doesn't think so. In fact, Robert Alcock says they're taking to the streets because opponents of the laws have done a great job of politicizing a legal issue.
But of course this is politics. The opposition want to persuade the government to make more and more concessions. And the way they do that is by mounting well-orchestrated campaigns, by organising political demonstrations and so on. So this is all part of a political programme.
But one of the most vocal critics of the
all of our visually impaired have no information, full information of this law, and the government haven't done anything to explain to the visually impaired person.
Many of these people have never taken to the streets before, but some of them told us today that after 6 years under Tung Chee-hwa, walking in the heat for a few hours is worth it if they can get their message across.
There was chaos at MTR stations around Victoria Park this afternoon as large numbers of people tried to get to the park to join in the march. As part of the crowd control measures, some of the MTR trains passed by the Tin Hau and Causeway Bay stations non-stop at about 3 p.m. Emily Chan has more on the situation at Tin Hau.
Huge crowds packed the MTR Tin Hau station, the stop closest to Victoria Park. People were standing shoulder to shoulder. Escalators were dangerously crowded, and this little boy even got hurt. This woman says she is scared because there are too many people, and the situation is too chaotic. This man says the MTR was not prepared for the large numbers of people and should have made better plans to regulate human traffic. Some people were shouting down with the DAB. That's the Democratic Alliance for the Betterment of Hong Kong, which supports Article 23 legislation. They jeered at DAB member Chan Kam Lam, who was in the station. Chan said the crowd was misled by others. The MTRC was working with the police in trying to introduce some crowd control measures in both Tin Hau and Causeway Bay Station. In order to control the flow of human traffic, entry-only and exit-only points have been designated. Also, ticket gates were temporarily closed to avoid overcrowding. Nevertheless, the crowd quickly grew impatient after being forced to wait and decided to jump over. The MTRC says they are closely monitoring the increased passenger flow and say they will strengthen their measures if necessary. Emily Chan, TVB News.
Police have yet to estimate how many people took part in today's march. A spokesman said this was simply one of the biggest protests in Hong Kong in recent years.
Judging from the road space, the procession has taken up, and judging from the time for the procession to complete, as well as judging from the crowd, the size of the crowd, and we believe today's turnout is very significant and certainly is one of the biggest crowd we have seen in recent years.
While tens of thousands of people took part in the protest against Article 23, the Federation...
Article 23 packed the lawn in Victoria Park, but just a stone's throw away is a football carnival to celebrate the 6th anniversary of Hong Kong's handover to China.
仍然係未見到龍尾㗎，我哋可以再睇一睇另一個地點嘅情況啦。呢一度呢就係中環嘅政府總部，不停呢係有市民呢係去到呢一個終點站，而佢哋呢係 去到呢個終點站之後呢，就會係沿住下亞厘畢道嘅出口離去，目的呢就係令到隨後跟住遊行上嚟嘅人呢係可以呢盡快呢係散去㗎。我哋唔容許任何人係剝奪我哋一切咁嘅權利。而今次嘅遊行呢係以反基本法23條立法嘅名義發起㗎，但係其實參與嘅市民有林林種種唔同嘅理由，全部發泄6年嚟對特區政府嘅不滿。梁麗常同佢哋傾過。
所以佢啲幕僚全部都係唔係為香港人，全部為自己嘅個利益、個人利益嘅，冇人為嗰個社會嘅。
姜廣話自己出錢印咗10萬個反政府標貼。
而家制度嘅問題就係一部分人統治咗大部分嘅人，而唔係所有人統治自己，呢個就係一個問題啦。咁因為簡單嚟講啊，我哋係支持普選咯。
羅子琪，中7學生，對政治充滿希望。
我今日嚟嘅目的就係因為呢300冤魂，為佢尋求一個公道，因為自己調查自己係冇結果㗎根本。
謝鴻興一直爭取徹查沙士事件。回歸6年，市民對政府同施政眾多不滿，呢日一次過講晒出嚟，數以萬計嘅人上街反對23條，都係導火線。喺遊行隊伍中，見得最多嘅仲係呢個訴求。
董建華落台，
支持董建華落台，支持董建華。
要踢走冇用嘅董建華，踢走唔負責嘅局長，踢走嗰啲保皇黨。
最唔滿意就係佢嘅施政嘅報告同埋施政嘅方針，所以我必須對於董建華咧，最多早啲落台最好。
梗係忍唔到，可忍啦！我6、4我未嚟過㗎。
第一次出嚟。佢哋嘅目標難以實現，但佢哋嘅聲音已經清楚表達。有線電視記者梁麗常報導。
Next month.
Some 200 workers from Beijing's legendary Friendship Store have staged a sit-in on the steps of the building to protest pending layoffs. As many as half of the store's nearly 800 staff will be laid off, as the 2nd through the 4th floors will be closed due to rising financial losses incurred since April. The state-owned store, which is popular with tourists and Beijing-based expatriates, has been hard hit by the SARS epidemic as tour groups avoided the capital in droves. Over to you, Chris, for sport.
Last of the protesters, they're coming on their way through Wan Chai, through Admiralty, and on their way here. But 1,000 police officers did a good job of keeping public order. They were deployed all over the place and on the island to keep public order, and there were no reports of any violent clashes or anything of that sort, even though around 9 people did follow during the march. We will have a full report on the entire protest during the late news coming up later on tonight. But for now, it's back to the studio.
Well, amazing scenes. Thank you very much to...
What's it looking like for tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow looks set to be another scorcher, and I'll bring you all the details after the break.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, thanks a lot, Sabine, and that's the end.
有線電視記者張華報道。
各位，而家畫面見到嘅就係喺灣仔軒尼詩道嘅現場最新情況。喺7·1大遊行呢已經開始咗差唔多5個小時啦。目前呢喺軒尼詩道東西行線呢都係絡繹不住咧有遊行嘅人群，咁暫時咧都未見到龍尾㗎。咁佢哋咧喺入夜之後咧就係陸續仍然向中環政府總部嗰度行緊㗎。咁而喺軒尼詩道稍為遠呢個地方已經人潮咧開始疏落㗎啦。咁而家我哋休息一陣，休息翻嚟咧會繼續同大家報道遊行嘅最新情況。